In a world where charisma is everything and talent is the ticket to greatness, one name has taken the WWE by storm: Tiffany Stratton. From glitter and glam to grit and gold, she's gone from newcomer to headliner in record time. But how did this buff Barbie go from the Performance Center to becoming one of WWE's fastest rising stars? This is the story of Tiffany Stratton, her rise, her grind, and how she proved that she's not just made for the spotlight, she owns it. Kicking off her career in late 2021, Stratton debuted with a fitness slash spoiled daddy's gimmick that didn't have the longest shelf life. She stated herself that the reason she came up with this character idea was because she simply wanted to get on TV. What this gimmick showed me was the fact that Stratton had a great grasp on how to portray herself within a character. She had a cheerleading and gymnastics background, which is excellent because she brought in that explosivity that helped her stand out from the pack. For a rookie, Stratton was way ahead of schedule from where she was supposed to be skill level wise, despite having short matches. She had a decent showing during the NXT breakout tournament where she made it all the way to the finals facing Roxanne Perez. She wasn't victorious, but clearly the company had high hopes and expectations for her. Stratton would then go on to feud with Wendy Chu, which was her first major program. This lights out match showed the range that Stratton could have in her matches, as this was a brutal hard hitting bout. It showed that she was willing to take the big bumps and showed that edge within her character. Unfortunately, this will be her last match till the following year because she suffered a head injury that put her out of action in what was just unlucky timing. This was a blessing in disguise, however, because when she returned, she dropped the daddy's girl gimmick and began to act like the character that she portrays today. She would later qualify for a spot in the Stand and Deliver ladder match for the NXT Championship, and she was one of the favorites to win. This was the match that put Stratton on the map because she did a phenomenal job asserting her presence amongst a crop of talent. This was a star-making performance, and I'm not gonna lie, the outcome is still very questionable to this day. She was in another tournament, once again making it to the final against Roxanne Perez, but this time, she came out as the victor. She would go on to face Lyra Valkyria for the title in what was a decent match, nothing that really blows your mind, but the result was all that mattered, as the buff Barbie was your new NXT Women's Champion. Her first feud, which is an underrated one in my opinion, was against an impressive rookie, Thea Hale. I thoroughly enjoyed this because it was highlighting two talented women who could be the focus of a division, and the way that they went about building Thea was interesting. They had two solid matches during this feud, and which was a great start for Stratton's title reign. Her next feud was against a legend in the business, Becky Lynch. They had a title match on NXT in which the man would win, and I wasn't a fan of this at all. But I would later be fine with this because it put a huge spotlight on Tiffany Stratton during their No Mercy match. She showed out and proved to everyone that she belongs at the top of the card, hanging in there with the greats of this industry. This is my favorite match from the buff Barbie, and I'm glad that Becky was able to elevate her on a grand stage. This was one of those statement matches because when you face someone on the caliber of Becky Lynch, you better bring out your A game because you have a lot of eyes on you. Let's just say Stratton passed that test. Her last feud in NXT was the perfect send-off, as she had a memorable run with Fallon Henley. They had some really entertainment segments leading into this match, and I suggest you all to check it out. They had a match with an interesting stipulation, that is, if Tiffany wins, Fallon Henley has to be her servant for the day. If Henley wins, Stratton has to help her around the ranch for the day. Henley would win this match, and dog, the segment that followed this was golden. They had the rich bougie girl working the ranch, getting dirty, and putting in that hard work. This was the perfect send-off for Stratton as she was on her way to the main roster. A couple weeks later, the buff Barbie made her debut at the Royal Rumble at number 29. This right here already made her feel like a huge deal on the main roster because this is a pretty big spot to be in, especially with the talent that was in the ring. She was soon signed with SmackDown, and the brand immediately established her as one of their top stars. She will participate in the Elimination Chamber match for the #1 contender spot to face the world champion at WrestleMania. Stratton will once again put on a memorable performance per usual during the multi-man woman matches. The fact that she was the most overact in this was the thing that stood out to me the most. She was a fresh face on the roster, climbing the ranks pretty rapidly. Her next program was against Naomi and Bayley for the world title, and dog, their match at Backlash was fucking insane. I already knew these three would have great chemistry in the ring, but I wasn't expecting them to have the second best match of the night. Bayley and Naomi did a great job of establishing Stratton as a threat to the women's division, and this is really what attached that skyrocket to her back. Stratton would get back to her winning ways as she qualified for the Money in the Bank match, which was the easiest booking decision that the creative team had to make. This latter match was a banger. In my opinion, this was my favorite women's Money in the Bank that I ever watched because it has so much talent in there that I would have been fine with being the winner. Tiffany Stratton was matching reactions with the likes of Bianca Belair and Bayley, so that was my #1 pick. Luckily, WWE made the right choice this night and gave Stratton the win, as she became the youngest women's Money in the Bank winner in WWE history. I'll skim through most of her run as the holder of the briefcase because it was the most filler shit ever. She formed a new pairing with Nia Jax, and the entire run was teases of a potential breakup between the two. They even added Candice LeRae into the mix because she was not doing so swell as a singles act. I can't stress how much I despise her run as the Money in the Bank winner because it dragged for way too long. She would finally cash in the contract on a random episode of SmackDown against Nia Jax, and it was a phenomenal moment that I was happy to witness with my girlfriend, as it was the first time that she saw a cash in live. Now this is the part of the video that we talk about her title reign so far, and boy do I have my fair share of opinions. As of right now, she has 2 title defenses under her belt, and both were on live TV. She faced Bayley in a great match, but it wasn't a feud to write home about, and she also faced Nia Jax in what was a solid bout as well, but nothing out of this world. Stratton also missed out on the Royal Rumble PLE and had a heatless tag match at Elimination Chamber. Now we are heading into the WrestleMania season, and we all know who Stratton was facing: Charlotte Flair. I was a fan of the idea of these two facing off because I wanted Charlotte to prove me wrong, to elevate a young talent, because she is no longer at that stage where she needs a title. Now, did Charlotte need to win the Rumble? Fuck no. She was the wrong winner on that night. They could have easily set this feud up by Charlotte interrupting Tiffany as her next challenger, because that is a money match if built up right. Unfortunately, this feud hasn't been good in the slightest bit. They have been shooting at each other, acting like children, throwing insults that doesn't benefit either party involved. I didn't like how Charlotte basically buried Tiffany's character this entire feud, from the mocking to pointing out that she won the title via cash-in. All of that stuff builds up and it makes it hard to invest in the storyline. Then we had the recent promo that struck me in the wrong way, because why would Tiffany point out Charlotte's personal battles with her mental health, which is tied in with her divorce? That's just low in my opinion, and I'm praying that we are getting worked and they agreed to this, because I was not feeling that at all. I am confident that this will be a great match, but this build has checked me out from the storyline. Tiffany Stratton's rise has shown the world that she is more than just looks, as she is athletic, confident, and constantly evolving. Whether you love her or hate her, one thing's for sure: Tiffy time is far from over. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like the video and comment your opinions on what you think about Tiffany Stratton. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to further support me. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.